I want to welcome you to the third phase. I'm Lori Carpenter, and I'm the founder of the third phase, which, like many of you, we are dealing with aging parents, grandchildren, just trying to navigate this thing called life during our third phase. So today I have a powerhouse couple, Kim and Chan Shaver, and they have done the ultimate. They have planned and they have succeeded in achieving being able to retire before 65. Hello, how are you, Kim?
So good to see you virtually, Lori.
Well, I am so excited to have you today. You are a powerhouse here that you've achieved what many of us would love to do, retire early.
Well, Chan sends apologies. He is a chaplain at a major hospital and had something urgent come up with a patient. So
Well,
not able to be here today, but just know that all the planning that we've done to try to put in place to be able to retire, it's been done as a partnership. And so all
absolutely.
reflects with him as well. So I'll be speaking for both of us.
Okay, great, great. Well, tell me what inspired you to do this? To
Yeah, I would just say it was not so much inspiration as it was just the way that things worked out in our career, and that both of us had jobs early on in our career out of college when we were in our 20s that made us think about setting up an IRA and retirement and so on. With Chan, he started in banking. And banking is obviously they touted the 401k as a major benefit. And so, of course, he took advantage of that, and that got him thinking about that. In my case, the second job I had ever out of college was with a major uh, business publication, national business publication. And they were actually a relatively new startup when I began with them. They'd only been maybe in business, 3 years or so. And
mhm.
after they're about 5 years, because they were so successful, they were purchased, they were acquired by a larger company. And the one of the founders, an entrepreneur, was so gracious that he offered. His stipulation was before he told the company that the employees would get a percentage of the profit based on their percentage of payroll or something like that. And so
Mhm.
that resulted in, for at that time, a pretty sizable lump sum. And we had to figure out what to do with it. And what we did with it is we put it in an IRA, and that was in our 20s. And so that's how we just got started early, I would say.
That's so smart. I would have probably bought a new sofa or added on to my house or something, but that is such a smart thing to do. How did you determine the ideal retirement, what your ideal retirement would look like, both financially and,
Mm. Right, right. Just lifestyle and
yeah,
everything. I
lifestyle?
think that was really where we came in. That was the foremost consideration we had is the lifestyle. And at the top of the list, I guess I'll go into a little bit of alliteration here with the F's. We wanted, freedom,
Uh,
flexibility, time for family, time for friendships, and then philanthropy, time to, give back to our community, to our church, and all of that. So that was really what we wanted. And I was very fortunate to get a taste of all this early because um, when I was in my late 20s, I decided to go part-time freelance with Furniture Today, the major business publication that I was with. And the editor-in-chief at the time, Bill Peterson, who was the founding editor, he said, we'd like to set you up at home with a computer and a modem and on email and everything, and let you write articles and file those articles from home. So I was on the very cusp of telecommuting, and I became a telecommuter, and I got from that a very early taste of what freedom and flexibility was all about. And I just loved it because no matter how much work I had to do and all of that, I had a great sense of freedom because I was able to do it on my own timeline and not have to sacrifice, family time or things that I wanted to do. Now, financial wise, we just wanted enough monthly to be able to supplement our Social Security payment. We weren't looking to be wealthy in retirement or anything like that. We were just looking to be comfortable and to travel some to be able to help family out as needed.
Wow. Wow, that is. Did you set a specific age or financial goal from the, or did it evolve over time?
Yeah, I think it evolved over time, and we just up front, I just like to say that we look at the most precious kind of wealth as loving family connections and an inviting and comfortable home that we can extend hospitality to others in,
Mhm.
vibrant friendships, building community around us, including faith community. So we worked as a team not only to have the financial planning for the future, but we invested a lot of time and a lot of effort into those things, those family connections, those friendships and all that, to be sure that we would have all that in retirement, because no matter how much you have, you could have a huge amount in retirement. If you don't have the people to enjoy it with, or you don't have that home that's a haven, things like that, then it just doesn't mean as much. So we just invested a lot in relationships and, in the communities around us. But as far as, setting a specific age or financial goal, I'd say for at least the last 15 years, we have set a target that we knew we wanted to be able to retire before age 65. And
Mhm.
I retired at age 63, began drawing Social Security at the end of 2023. And Chan will be able to retire a little bit later this year at the age of 64. So part of this was that our IRAs were performing well enough that we saw that it was feasible.
Okay. Have you thought about working? Are you doing any side hustles or anything now? Or are you just strictly retired doing as you please?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say at this point, I'm what you call semi-retired, because I still do some work on my own. I, have my own communications company. I'm doing less than I was, but, you can only make so much and draw Social Security. So, you just work up to that limit amount is what.
Right. So you can pick and choose more or
Yes,
less.
yes. So that's right.
Okay, let's talk numbers. How did you, I mean, how would you even know how much you would need to retire early? Did you work with a financial advisor, or is it just something you created on your
Oh,
own?
that's something that we definitely wanted to rely on a professional retirement financial advisor. And for
Uh-huh.
we've been working with a financial advisor in our late 20s. Again, we were very fortunate with that. We've been very happy with the professionalism, the attentiveness of our financial advisor. And, he's certainly demonstrated expertise, but I think what's been most beneficial to us and has meant the most to us is that he's a good communicator. He's a good explainer. He's a good educator. He presents very clear options, makes sure we understand, and then lets us decide. And essentially, he's very trustworthy. And so those are the things that we were looking for. And our advisor is right here in High Point. It's
Okay.
David Thompson, certified professional planner, financial planner. He's the managing director of Thompson Wealth Management, and that's affiliated with Wells Fargo. And, I can tell you a little bit about sort of the strategy that we pursued, if that's of any interest.
Yeah, yeah. I think our audience would be quite interested in that. If you don't mind breaking that down for
Yeah, it's
us.
just, it's just a very high level, not obviously, but with David at Wells Fargo, we have taken a conservative approach, moderate to low risk, and we've focused on return of principal rather than return on principal. And for the bulk of the years, we've had about 90% of our IRA investments in stocks. And as we've neared retirement, which is really best practice, as you near retirement, you should shift closer to about 70% of stocks, which is what we are now, and the rest or the balance is in cash-based vehicles.
It's more liquid.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. Were you ever torn between saving for retirement and enjoying life in the moment?
Something you've got to consider and everything. But I think what we just tried to do is we did want to live life in the moment, obviously. But we just tried to be really disciplined and always save some, spend some kind of thing. Like, for example,
Mm-hmm.
if I got a yearly bonus, say a 15,000 a year or whatever, I might set aside 2,500 for a vacation, because that was one thing that we always tried to do, especially when the kids were coming along. And even now that they're young adults, we always try to take a vacation, if not every year, at least every other year, because that's a way to invest in those relationships and those experiences that bring you closer together. So we would set aside some for that. We would set aside maybe for an expense, on the house or something like that. But we would try to set aside the bulk of it into our IRA or to our savings.
Wow, that is so smart. That is so smart. Did you make any career moves or business decisions that fast tracked your retirement? Anything along that line?
Well, I would just say that when we made career moves or business, that retirement was never at the forefront of our minds. We look at our vocations as callings, and that we, have a vocational calling, or we have passion for certain things. And so that's really what we did follow, is that we followed our calling, so to speak, and looked at it as a service orientation. But one thing that we didn't do, that I do think did benefit us and that did help us, is that we didn't flit around from job to job. We
Yeah.
stayed at places for long periods of time. Like, for example, in my case, I was with one major employer for 16 years, another for 14 years. And then since I had been on my own since 2014, so about 11 years now, I've been on my own as, working with clients and independent and so forth. So, the shortest time I was ever on a full-time job, was 2 years, and that was my first job.
Mm.
So, trying to stay a little bit longer, I think, has
Yeah.
helped.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, did you take any calculated risk?
On the career side, we took a whole bunch of risks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just a lot. And, looking back on it, it's almost like I can't believe we did these things, but we were just so sure in the time, after much prayer, that it was the right thing to do. But for example, with me, when I had young children that were in elementary school, I had one in elementary school, one in middle school at the time, and I left a part-time freelance job in business journalism that had maximum flexibility as a young mom, and I joined a major furniture company in a newly created position that I had to create from the ground up. It was, no playbook, and kind of built
Oh,
an
wow.
airplane in mid-flight, so to speak. It was very hard, very intense, and risky move, really. And I do remember it was very hard, especially to balance that. I would have that job on my mind so much on the weekends when I was with family or doing leisure. And I finally did get to a point where I was able to get it off my mind, but it did take a couple of years to get there. Another big risk that I took was when it came time then to go out on my own and to leave a very secure major company with a great retirement plan and all of that, and go out independently on my own. And that was, back in 2014. So both were definitely risk, and but both turned out to be very good moves financially, as well as positioning us better for this early retirement as well. Now, Chan also took a big risk in 2000 to leave the business world and to answer a call to go to seminary and full-time ministry. And but again, it wasn't a calculated risk. It was just following the path that we prayerfully believed that we were to go on. And
Yeah.
but yeah, we have definitely not shied away from risk.
Well, I was going to say, but it sounds like you had some divine intervention. on your side
You know,
that
we,
you
we definitely, pray for guidance and for wisdom and all of that. So that is definitely important for.
that is that is fabulous. That is fabulous. If you could go back and do something different, what would you do?
Well, I don't think you can ever have enough cash. And, I'm big on that. And, we've been very happy with our IRA investment. It has had an average annual return of 8%. And so
Hmm.
that's excellent.
That,
Um,
that's
it
fabulous,
is, especially,
especially in this economy.
well, and especially, we went through the '08 and '09 and
Yeah.
the ups, the downturns, and of course, 2002 and to a lesser extent 2020. And to have that kind of average return is really great. But um, we would just, we'd like to be even more fluid. We do have a money market account that, has a good amount in it. But I'd like to have even more because, again, I'm just a big, big proponent of cash flow.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. What's I guess looking at younger couples or younger people now, what would be some advice you would give them on retiring early?
Well, I would just say, especially if you are, fairly young, is do your research and find a professional, trustworthy, highly recommended financial advisor. Meet with the prospects, see how well you communicate, what the you know how the rapport is that you have with them,
Hmm.
and find that financial advisor and do it. The sooner the better. Start working with someone because
Hmm.
you turn to specialists in every field imaginable, and this is one of those fields that you certainly need a specialist. And if nothing else, it's just for the organization and for the discipline and for the structure that a financial advisor brings. And you think, oh, maybe I don't have the time to do all that research and so on, but it's going to save you so much time in the end. And truly, once you have that right advisor who's working for you, um, it's going to save you lots of time. We really just meet annually with
Yeah.
our advisor. That we, maybe email back and forth or, have these really short conversations. So it's nothing that consumes a lot of time, but it saves you a lot of time, and it just gets you in the right direction. So I think that would be absolutely the sooner the better. But at the same time, it's never too late to do that. So if you haven't found one, never despair. Go ahead and try to get one that you can work with. And just one other thing I would say for advice, especially for young folks too, but really anybody, and that's just remember that, we don't have to spend and own and extend ourselves financially to arrive or to be happy. And I think showing restraint in our spending and, spending less and saving more is a good rule of thumb because we're really rich when we're content and happy with what we have,
Absolutely.
and sort of study seek to be content and
Yeah.
and enjoy what you have rather than thinking you've always got to get something else.
Got to have more, more, more. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I've been listening to a book on a podcast, and it was talking about how we're just passing through. We're just passing through. All this that we gather is it's going to go. I mean, it's not going to go with us. We're just passing through. And, sometimes living more simple is key.
It really is, and that simple elegance and
Yes.
a wonderful thing. Um, Sometimes less is more. So,
Well, we live in such a more world that sometimes it's very difficult. Your journey has been an inspiration, but and I'm sure many of people watching this can take away valuable lessons and everything. Any final words of wisdom for those that want to start their retirement early. I know financial advisor, but a lot of times, do you think it's the mindset
The mindset, and what do you mean by the mindset?
to save and not want more? Think about the simplicity of life.
Right, right. And like for instance, this isn't for everybody, and I'm not saying, but we have resisted the move to keep getting a bigger and bigger and bigger house. We've stayed in our home, and we have renovated it and gotten it how we like it.
Hmm.
But sometimes that's good because we were able to pay off our mortgage a couple years ago. So that's a way that you get in shape for retirement, is you're going to have less cash outlays that you're going to have to make. Another thing that we're trying to do is get down to one car payment as well. So one car payment, no house payment, that enables you as well to be able to retire, because you don't have all
Yeah.
the expenses.
Yeah, getting that house paid off, where it's, with a lot of young people, that's something key they need to have focused on, because that is always, even if you sell it, you can make money there.
Right.
But getting that paid off early, where you have no payments, getting where you have no payments is very
It,
crucial.
it, it,
Very, very crucial. I've seen that with my mother, and she was always very, very conservative, but she had no, but and I would say by the time she was 65, 70, somewhere in there, she had no payments,
mm-hmm.
but she lived very, very modest, you know,
And that is
and
also a form of freedom. You know,
yes,
having less debt is a form of freedom, and that was again, they're at the top of the list. That freedom, that flexibility, that's what we wanted to have, and in our, third phase.
yes,
So,
yes, in our third phase. Yeah, I was looking over there. That was all the F's. Let's see, you had family, friends, flexibility, faith, and what was the other?
well, freedom, and then
Freedom. Freedom,
it
yeah.
doesn't start with an F; it just has an F sound, and that's philanthropy.
Philanthropy, yes, yes. I put that down as well. But that is something, if you don't give, that's just such a selfish thing. I mean, you really have nothing if you don't share.
Yeah, I've always heard that really what only thing that we take with us, like you were talking about, is what we've given away.
Absolutely.
Whether that-
Yeah, and kind of in this third phase, the more we can give and share our knowledge and things with the younger people, the better off we will be, and maybe their future will be.
Right. And that's why it's just a pleasure to talk with you. If there's any idea or tip or anything, inspiration that would help other people to be able to do this, that's the whole reason for chatting with you today. And I really think that what you do is such a great service, Lori, trying to help people that are in their either retirement or pre-retirement years, or that third phase, to live a fuller, richer, more meaningful life. And it really is, it's that time of life when you do have more freedom. You have more freedom about, if nothing else, worry about what people think, and, trying to, set forth a certain image and do this and do that. You're free from that, and so you're free to really be yourself, and like you say, to help people, and that kind of thing. So that's
It's really a wonderful phase, because we've got the wisdom now. We've been through so much, and there is so much we can share. And but that's what I'm looking at this phase too. Absolutely, because I am dealing with my mother. I've got 5 grandchildren and all of it. So yeah, it is a lot, but we got to help lift each other up and live outwardly.
exactly, that's wonderful. I can
Oops.
relate to that. I help my mom, and we also help my mother-in-law. So yes, it's that's a lot. It is a few things that he did that he really contributed to our financial health and all of that. Um, our one is, he says, y'all keep on. Okay. Um, we consider leasing and not buying your vehicles. And that is something that we did. And he was very aware of that because he had worked in auto finance for a time in his career.
Hmm.
But we did that because the advantage to that is that with leasing, you have less cash outlay, you have a shorter term and lower monthly payments. And so we've done this for about 30 years, and he estimates that we have saved, he says, over $300,000 over 30 years by leasing and not buying. And it is typically new cars that you will, and he said that right now that Toyota, Honda, and Kia are the manufacturers that have the best lease, deals, or the best lease and all of that. So anyway, that was just one thing that
That's
really
interesting. I would not have known that. That's a great tip about leasing.
Yeah, just really can save you money. And if you have any questions, just private message us, because he's the expert.
Yeah.
Private message us at Kim Chan Shaver on Instagram. Kim Chan Shaver, and he can answer any of your questions. I've already said consider staying in the home for a longer period of time and renovating. He also has been very instrumental about keeping us to be sure we had a high credit score. And again, that comes from his banking background. But you can find out your credit score, and by the credit bureau, or your bank, can tell you what your credit is, 700 or over. And some of the things he said to avoid, if you want to have a high credit score, retail store credit cards have very few. You should avoid subprime bank credit cards because they will have 18 to 30% interest rates. And what you should do is you should seek out 0% interest credit card offers that go, like 12 to 18 months, and you roll over the card with the highest interest rate onto that and then pay it off from there. And he also said, make your payments, any credit payments, rent payments, whatever, make them early, 5 to 10 days early, because the credit bureau a logarithm will pick that up. That you pay your debts early, and they like that even better than on time, and so that gets you a higher credit score. And then finally, of course, this is common sense, but especially today with these high interest rates, keep those credit card balances low and just really use them hardly any, because the credit card interest rates are ridiculously high. They're so high that you virtually cannot pay one off, because even if you make a high payment of like $300 or $500, it's not going to touch all the interest. So it's just, I would just say right now, just only use credit cards for emergencies.
Yes, totally agree. Well, that's a great tip on paying things off early. That I did not realize, but
that's one that
I like to slide in. I like to slide in on the timeline.
But you just get extra points from the credit bureau by paying early, and it's only these bankers or former bankers like him that know that. So
yeah, well, I haven't told you this, but my husband is a banker, or was a banker. He is now retired, but yeah, he takes care of really all the finances, because I would be one of those that slide in right at the at the payment date and things like that,
Probably
but anyway,
you have an appointment and you get there right on time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
He is one that always gets there early, so he thinks if you're not early, you're late. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, Kim, I've enjoyed this so much, and hopefully maybe sometime in High Point we can meet up.
That would be wonderful. Well, thank you again for this forum, Lori, and all that you're doing to help people live a fuller life.
Well, thank you, and be sure and join our Facebook group. We're called The Third Phase, where we will be discussing this more, and we can add some of this in there. So, I would love for y'all to be a part of that, both you and Jen. So,
thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, Lori. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.